Mavericks, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my May monthly page featuring the detailed floral books. Now, fun fact, my favorite color is purple, so I was really looking forward to getting this book and using it. So in terms of supplies, I used a clear stamp block and several different colors of dye ink in various shades of purple, complementing that sticker book that I just showed you. And also I used some Faber-Castel Gelatos. I also used black ink for this spread, as well as my blending tools. That's a hair store oval makeup brush and my Tim Holtz sponge dauber, and I had washi to decorate with. And you'll also need scratch paper for this. So for this spread, I'm gonna be complementing that Beauty in Florals book with some nice smoky inked edges. So to accomplish this, I'm just going to take my various shades of purple and my black and build up a nice gradient of color. So the first step is setting up my workspace. I'm going to take a sheet of that scratch paper and lay it underneath one side of my spread. And this is chiefly to protect my work surface and also give me a runoff area to build my color. So the first color I'm going to use is a lavender gelato. If you're not familiar with gelatos, they are a combination of wax pigment and oil in a crayon-like form that you can either blend directly onto the paper dry or wet. So I'm actually going to use my clear stamp block as kind of like a palette, and rather than wet my paper after the fact, I'm going to rub my gelato on my block and wet it there. And then I'll take my brush to the paper with the color, and it's important to start off the paper and blend on. The reason you do this is because if you start directly on the paper, you're gonna have some harsh edges, and we don't want that. We just want a soft blend of color. And in terms of color selection, this reminds me of building up a smoky eye in makeup. You gotta have a transition color to help you blend the rest of those colors, and again, not have so many harsh edges and starts and stops. So we're gonna start with the lavender for that reason, and we'll just continue that all the way around the edges of our paper. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can go direct to paper with gelatos. You can actually blend them dry, or you can rub them on the paper and wet them. But because this is not like heavy cardstock or watercolor paper, I want to be able to control the amount of water and how wet the paper gets, so it doesn't do a whole lot of curling and wrinkling and getting soggy. So that is why I'm choosing to rub my stick on another surface and wet it to kind of make a paint, if you will. And in building up my color, you got to remember there are other colors coming behind this. Therefore, you have to give them somewhere to go without completely covering up what's there. So you just saw me, or you're seeing me going in and building up the color a little bit further into the page so that, you know, I don't end up covering up all of this within my gradient. And I don't want to miss this little area up here by the tab. So bear in mind, nothing is going to dry on that tab, at least anything that's water-based, so you gotta wipe it off so you don't smudge everything. And then I'm just building up the next color, which is like a lavender color. It's a Sukaneko dewdrop. I'll put the color in the description, but it's a light purple but darker than my gelato that I just used. And I'm coming onto the paper not quite as far in as the edge of the first color, but far enough. So next, this is a lilac Tim Holtz distressed ink that is purple on the outside, but it is actually a blue the way it actually shows up. So I'm cleaning my brush first, and since I want the main color to be purple, I'm just putting this blue in a couple of spots. If I look at my sticker book, it's mainly purple, but there are hints of blue, and that's what I want to emulate. And then, much like makeup, I'm going back into that last color to kind of blend out the colors together. Then I'll use my darkest purple a little bit closer to the ends. And if I didn't mention this already, make sure you're doing this with dye inks so that they can blend into each other. Each layer being transparent instead of trying to blend it out over something opaque. You probably won't get the effect you're looking for. And once more, I'm going back into my lighter purple just to get rid of any harsh edges and hard transitions here. And I'm adding a touch of that blue because some of it has gotten lost in the addition of the darker colors. Okay, so now we've gotten the purple out of the way and it's time for the black. You gotta be really careful with black, because just like any color, you can put it on, but once it's there, you can't go back. So add it a little time. So I'm actually going to ink the edge of my paper, the physical edge. Now, normally I would tell you to take your paper and hold the stamp pad at a straight up 90-degree angle against that paper. But because it's printed on both sides, we want to make sure any excess ink ends up on this side of the paper. So I'm gonna hold it a little bit closer to a 45-degree angle and just run it up against the side of the paper. And now you can see at the bottom and here on the side a slight black edge where we've added ink. And this is a great technique to use if you want to add dimension to your paper, or if you want to make it look distressed. Like sometimes I'll do like a brown on the outside and then ink the edges in a dark color to look like it's burnt. But now that we've got the edges inked, we're going to actually blend a little bit of black into our gradient. And I just barely touch the tip of this brush into this black, and I'm being very conservative blending it into the edges of the paper. Because again, I can always blend in more, but once it's in there, I can't take it back. Going back to our eyeshadow analogy, if you were smoking out your eye, you would add a little bit of that black eyeshadow to intensify what's there and then blend it out. And if you wanted more, you would add more, but you wouldn't just slap, a pound of black eyeshadow and call it a day. I did mention, you can do the inked edges with any color you want. So now we've got our ink blended on. I'm just going to use some washi and a couple of shades of purple to mark out some important dates. Here comes those beautiful stickers. So this is my before the pen, and again, I'm very much function over fashion. I don't want to fill this spread so far up with all the bells and whistles and stickers and flowers that I have no room for life to happen in this spread, because we're looking at a month out. A lot can happen in 30 days. So I've just taken, for right now, the spaces that don't have dates and added a sentiment and a floral. And man, these stickers really want to stick, don't they? I'm going to add another sentiment in my sidebar to cover up the little to-do or focus label, and just add some floral accents. Now, I did this backwards. I know better. I probably should have cut these before I put them on the page, like duh. But I didn't know how much of this flower I wanted to show at the top versus the bottom. So judge me later. And then I'm adding a functional top 3 here, so I don't overwhelm myself this month. And this month I'm really going to be focusing on gratitude, just because of some things that have happened and not happened I'm very thankful for. Side of the page, I still have more boxes at the top of the month that don't have dates in them, so I'll just use one of my larger flowers to border that space. So here comes the mild liners. In other spreads, a lot of times I will use stickers from my budget book to lay out my bill due dates. But in keeping with this theme, I'm actually going to just use my ruler as a guide and highlight the places where my bills are due in colors, highlighter colors that complement the rest of this spread. That's another cheap thing to do. I'm always talking about budget planning tips, ways to not have to run out and buy all the stickers and all the washi. You can use your markers to complement what you already have, and that's a fairly inexpensive solution. So this is my before the pen spread. Again, I'm leaving myself room to make some changes later on. My husband literally called me while I was recording this and gave me more dates to put on my calendar. So I gotta be fluid and flexible. And let's not forget, tax day is also this month. But this is it. It's an elegant yet simple spread, and I hope you guys love it as much as I do. And as always, do what you love what you do, and keep at it. See you later.